A tiny little human-like mouse living as a version of Sherlock Holmes solves tiny little mousteries.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Louise,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 91.
hello.
What's happening, y'all? Let's pretend like we haven't been sitting here for 45 minutes talking to each other. Hey, how you guys doing? How you guys doing today? What's been going on with you?
I've only been here for like 2 hours, and I'm pretty sure
You know, it happens. Podcast recordings, equipment, and whatnot. This week, we are talking about the 1986 animated Disney film, The Great Mouse Detective.
Which Andre was like
Violin.
so excited to watch.
Violin. I can't make violin sounds, so I just...
Weren't you like, he's been begging me to watch this movie for a long time.
The best part is I didn't know what you were saying, but I saw your elbows moving.
Violin.
Whoa! A violin.
Violin.
A violin. A violin.
Let's see here. This movie was directed by Dave Michener, Bernie Mattinson, and the Dream Team, Ron Clements and John Musker, who went on to direct The Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
Interesting.
Yes. Is your mic on?
It is on.
You're not. Who else pointing at?
Oh. It's on now.
Man, so all my cool commentary
Well,
was missed.
yeah. I think we might have heard some background noise of you. I'll pump it
Aw,
up.
man. Dang it.
So this
Hi, Ollie.
this movie came out right after The Black Cauldron, which, as we had discussed on the Black Cauldron episode, was basically a terrible mistake for Disney.
That is true.
Money-wise and critically. So
I don't think I'll ever go back on that one. It still sucks.
So this one was...
Eventually, I'm going to go back and rewatch it just to see.
No. It's
No, I
sucks.
will. I know I will because I was so surprised.
You wanted more dirty?
Oh, God.
You got more dirty,
Never
baby.
mind.
Well,
Oh.
unfortunately, we did with this stupid bat on this movie, but it's
Now I'm
Well,
done.
yeah, the bat. But no, so this movie came out right after The Black Cauldron, and it was basically the animation department's like last ditch effort. They were like, if y'all mess this up, we ain't gonna make animated movies anymore. But
We
this
be
one
done.
ended up doing well, and then they got to go make The Little Mermaid, which blew the socks off everybody.
So we're laughing right now because Olivia is eating my microphone.
the cord.
Munching on a microphone cord.
She's like,
it's okay. She only got that one tooth. It'll take a while.
Hey, she got
to bite.
two
Two
teeth.
teeth.
Oh, she got
Excuse
two
you.
She might get through that.
teeth. Meh.
A couple weeks of chewing.
She's making a face like it's gross, but like she's also still doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Interesting.
Baby dumb. There you go.
Anywho.
Interesting.
This movie is based on the book Basil of Baker Street by some dude, Eve Titus and Paul
So you're
Galdone.
telling me he just rewrote Sherlock Holmes and Mouses?
So basically, yeah.
Mices?
So Sherlock Holmes has
Mouses
been
is not a word.
Sherlock Holmes has been in the public what's that thing called when you can use the public domain.
Yes.
So you can use this story because it is aged out so long that it's free for anyone to use and interpret and make.
That
so that's why
happens?
there are so many Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yes.
And in fact, Disney is kind of guilty of not adhering to this public domain rule with Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is old enough now to go into the public domain.
Yeah, but they keep pushing the
They keep
contract.
appealing
like paying
and
people out.
paying people out
Heck
and
yeah, man.
pushing to keep their mouse.
Because they're like, that's my mouth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's funny that you bring that up because I was just reading an article while we were talking that, I think everyone knows that Sherlock Holmes is like very rarely not being redone in some way.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's
I
happening all
didn't
the time.
even really think about it, but I mean, BBC did Sherlock, right?
Mhm.
With Benedict
Benedict
Cumberbatch
Cumberbatch.
The best.
and Martin Freeman, which is one of my favorite things ever.
Mhm.
We saw Robert Downey Jr. and Mr. Law, Jude
Yes,
Law.
Jude Law.
Mr.
Dumbledore.
Mr. Law.
Dumbledore.
CBS did Elementary, which apparently is a
Mhm.
version.
Yes, with Lucy Liu.
Yes.
Yeah, she's Watson, which is interesting.
Which is super cool.
Mhm.
Guy Ritchie did Sherlock Holmes and A Game of Shadows.
All right, that was.
And then
Robert
Bill
Downey Jr.
Condon did Mr. Holmes, where it's Ian McKellen playing
Oh,
an
right.
old
He's like
version.
old Sherlock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which I
well,
haven't
the
seen.
only Sherlock I've seen is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, really?
And it's bomb.
That's the best one. I don't want to see any others.
It's really good.
But did
You haven't seen the Robert Downey Jr. version?
No.
Those are
Literally,
Is that
really
a
good.
movie?
That's a good
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
like
didn't see
2.
it.
There's 2.
I think there's a third one coming out.
There is.
I think there is
There was
supposed to
a
be.
third, I believe.
I have literally only seen
Oh, no,
Robert
there
Downey
is.
Jr. as Iron Man.
It's funny that you say that because Luis was talking about Sherlock Holmes last night, and he goes, "Oh, you know the Sherlock version with Tony Stark."
That makes sense.
Exactly.
It was cute. What, are you making a face at me because you didn't want me to say that on air?
No, just trying to make sure our baby doesn't cry because of the cackle.
Oh.
The cat-
She
Rude.
does. Yeah, Ollie does
Oh.
cry if
She
we
does
cackle.
cry when I cackle
Yes,
loud.
the,
okay.
the third Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes is set to come out in 2021.
Which I'm cool about it because that was a good
I'll
movie
rewatch. I'll
series.
watch them then before that
They're
one.
really
You know what I
good.
mean?
You'll like them.
They're-
And Jude
they're
Law's
good.
characters, that's where I started liking Jude Law in the first place.
They're
was
fun.
From that.
Sherlock is fighting and stuff, and he's like, if he swings his arm this way, I
The
go over
best,
here.
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
part about Sherlock's Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock's
221 Baker Street.
The best part
So
about
class, huh?
Sherlock Holmes is that he's British.
I mean, that's
This is
definitely an
English
aspect.
love.
English, but it's also one of the first British shows I ever saw on BBC.
Oh, that's right.
Because remember,
That's
Emily was like really
ridiculous.
I
into
know.
British shows,
Uh-huh.
and I hadn't really seen them. And then we saw that, and then I watched the sex education show, and like I've seen more stuff now. And then I watched the first couple episodes of The British Office, which has every British person in the planet
Oh,
on
yeah.
it, like not even kidding.
That's the thing about British stuff is that it's kind of like incestuous in that way
Oh,
because
for sure. They
there's
play
They're in
everything.
everything.
it's a pretty small pool of really good actors. that
Yeah.
are, hey, Downton Abbey, you want a couple actors? Hey, Harry Potter, you guys want a couple actors? Hey,
sure.
Yeah,
let's
it
get
seriously
everybody
is like
together.
that. Well, who are our voice actors for these
yes.
ones?
So this movie is a wee bit older. You might not recognize
Yes.
all of these names.
Well, we'll see.
Or any of them, but Barry Ingham plays Basil, our Sherlock Holmes. Basil. And his name is Basil, by the way.
Oh, are you going to say? Go
Yeah,
for it.
Yes, his
That
name
was one of my. I only had
this-
3 pieces of trivia, and that was one of them. So go for it.
Oops.
I'm rude.
His name is Basil because the man most famous for playing Sherlock Holmes at the time, and even now to a certain extent, was a guy named Basil. Do you remember his last name?
Well, I have it written down. You want me to pull it up?
Take it away.
I
Emily.
will take it away when I pull
Please.
it up.
Also, Basil is a weird name.
Basil
Rathbone.
Rathbone. We found out at the same time. So he was so famous for playing Basil that in the book that this
Sherlock.
is based on, playing Sherlock. He was so famous for doing that in the book that they based this on, they named the mouse Basil, and therefore he is.
So they
Basil.
wrote a book called Basil of Baker Street.
Yes.
And this
Okay.
is based off of the book called Basil of Baker Street. But they didn't like.
Is the Basil of Baker Street book about mice?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
But in that, apparently, Basil is Sherlock. Which, I mean, they try to do that here too.
They did
but
that here.
Right.
I thought that.
Which I got
didn't?
that, but you also got it that he was like living in Sherlock's house.
Yes. So
Like he was getting his Sherlockiness from living with Sherlock. That's
which
what
I
I
thought
got
was
from it.
Yeah,
Right.
which I thought was funny. Though.
But I think
he was
in
the
the
mouse
book,
Sherlock.
like there's a mouse in my house, and his name is Andy or whatever, and he does a bunch of Andre things. He plays video
Yeah.
games
He's a
and-
comic.
Yeah, he does mouse stand
it's
up.
really
and-
funny that you just said that because I thought you were quoting the book I was quoting earlier. Remember, I was reading to Addie when she was going to
Uh-huh.
bed, and I said, "There's a mouse in my house."
Oh,
Did you not? And so I was like, "There's a mouse in your house, Andre, named Andy." Now I'm confused.
Yes, there's a mouse in my house. I feel like I'm jinxing it.
And
there
there's
really
a bear in
is
my
gonna-
chair, and you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
my chair.
There's a walket in my pocket. That one is Dr. Seuss. You're welcome.
There's a lizard on my wizard.
What? Wait. What is that song that we
lizard
used
on
to
my
Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa.
Living on a pear?
Lizard on a pear.
On a chair?
Lizard on a pear.
Lizard on a
Lincoln on a bear. Remember, you
I
like
thought it
that
was
one.
lemon on a pear.
Lincoln on a bear.
It's anything.
Lizard on a bear. No, he liked Lincoln on a bear. Lincoln on a bear.
Anyway,
Lemon on a pear.
Lemon on a pear. No, it's lizard on a pear.
so anyway,
I thought it
this
was lemon.
Either
this
way, they're halfway there.
movie is very high concept in its
Uh-oh.
execution. I was going through the cast.
They're
Yeah,
we don't know.
the only other
Honestly,
name.
other people that we don't know.
The only other name that you know from this list is Vincent Price. He plays Ratigan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ratigan is Ratcliffe for sure. They're the same person.
Right, yeah.
Anybody else get that vibe? Just me? Okay.
I thought he was like half
capey cape.
I thought he was half Ratcliffe the way he looked and walked, and like Gaston from his song. You know what I mean? It was very Gastonian.
Yeah. Well, Ratcliffe is terrifying.
Ratigan.
Ratigan. What did he say? That song, it says something about like drowning widows and orphans.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, okay, we're in the 80s. Okay. Guess you can say that stuff in kids' movies. Can't say that now.
There was a lot going on in this movie.
There was a lot.
Yes.
But before we get into it, let's do our first impressions.
Oh, yeah.
We just like
oh
skipped
my
over
gosh,
that
wow,
business.
I'm
That's
so
right.
far ahead. Okay, first impression of this movie. It was good.
Was this the first time you'd ever seen it?
I've never seen this.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. But I'm comparing it to The Rescuers because that's the mouse movie that I know, and I would rather watch that mouse movie.
Right.
But do I like the Sherlock references? Yes. I think I wouldn't have liked it if it wasn't like a Sherlock-y reference one. Like if it was just like a mystery and this mouse was just trying to solve it, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much as if it was an interpretation of Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked it. I thought it was good, like for an older kids movie.
Yeah.
I liked it. Andre, I know you've seen this.
Yes, I have seen this. This is almost 99% sure this is my introduction to Sherlock Holmes when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like this is the first time I ever saw a dude with a hat solving mysteries and looking around.
That's what I had Nancy Drew for. I wasn't paying attention to Sherlock.
Yeah, I guess I didn't read those. Sorry, Nancy. But yeah, so upon this viewing, I thought I was gonna like it just a little bit more. I think I was having some kid nostalgia coursing through my veins or whatever. But it's still really a pretty fun movie. Like the bad guys bad and the good guys are silly, and I love watching Basil solve all the little mysteries happening when he's sticking stuff through chemistry sets and stuff.
Yeah, it's very Nicolas Cage of him.
How dare you bring up that name?
That's what I thought of when he was doing like the chemical stuff with the paper.
That's what you thought of?
Yeah, I thought of I almost said Treasure Planet, National Treasure with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, right. Yeah,
he's doing the papery stuff.
papery stuff.
Sorry.
Anyway, I liked all of that.
Although you did say as soon as the movie was done, I was like expecting you to be like way more into this movie because you kept wanting me to watch it for ages.
Right, yeah.
That when it was over, you were like, that was better as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that was the first thing that came out of his mouth, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
It moved a little bit slower than I remembered. But aside from that, I enjoyed it.
So this was my first time ever seeing it, and when we had originally talked about doing it, I was not very excited just because I don't know. I always confuse it with The Rescuers, which I also haven't seen. So I don't know. Nothing stuck out to me. But then you said Sherlock. I got really, really excited.
Right.
So I think I overpumped it up for myself.
Oh,
so I was like
yeah.
uber excited going in. And I mean, I wanted it to be more Sherlock-y.
Right.
I was like ready for every
for all
reference.
the Sherlock things.
But then
Yeah.
I had to take a step back and like kids are not going to make all those references.
Right.
Like they might get one or two if they're old enough, but probably
Maybe.
not even.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, fine. But I thought it was pretty cute. I have my reservations, but in general, it was pretty cute. I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like a number one favorite, but I'll watch
But
it
it's
again.
rewatchable.
It was better than some of the other ones we've watched.
Word. Although, like I said, I always go back to how much I was like, I didn't like Sword in the Stone, and I really want to watch it again.
Yeah.
You're going to be all up in here like, I'm going to watch The Black Cauldron again.
Absolutely not.
Possibly not.
Absolutely not.
I know, I'm ready to watch The Sword in the Stone again. Maybe we should do a double
Ever
feature.
since I sent you guys that video, huh?
Well,
Of him
I
dancing.
think there is a plan to do like a live action
No.
Sword
Okay,
in the
we're moving
Stone,
on. Luis,
which-
first impression of Mouse Detective.
Louis impression.
I thought it was pretty cool. I liked how the Mises had their own like little world
Yeah.
below the human
Yeah.
world. I thought that was pretty cool, and it was
That
kind
was
of
cute.
like it was a parallel pretty much, but to their own standards.
Right, to their level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
That actually is cute.
Yeah.
Which, and I
Like
have
there's
to,
a queen in both.
Right,
Cool.
yeah.
which I have to
You're
throw this
right.
out here. Luis likes miniature things. Like he likes
Yeah,
versions that are like
that's
Mini.
a miniature story.
He likes
A
smaller
miniature
versions
story.
of things. So when there was
Yeah.
a queen, he was
Didn't
like,
we talk about
"Oh,
this the
yes."
last episode too? That Louise
Did we?
likes yeah, because he was talking about the little miniature Star Wars things.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, the Polly Pocket.
Yes.
Polly Pocket.
Oh, Polly Pocket. Yeah, that was because of Polly Pocket.
Yes.
I don't remember her name.
I don't remember the character's name.
Giggle
either.
Dimples.
Yeah,
Giggle-
that's
Giggle
Giggle
McDimples. Giggle
Um,
McDimples.
Yeah, so this movie opens on like a.
Let me set the scene.
Said it.
It was a blustery night in the 100-acre wood. I'm just
A
kidding.
blustery night in the
It's
100-acre
not the
wood.
100-acre wood. You can't use the word blustery without me thinking of Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
Like, there's no other word that goes to.
It was a dark. It wasn't stormy. I don't know. You set the
It was
scene.
not Stormy.
You got it.
London, 1897.
Oh,
It's
good job.
night time.
I said it like 4
London.
times. 1897.
We're
I
in
think I
front-
did that too.
We're in front of a toy store and
I don't
or
like
a toy
toy
shop.
stores.
Excuse me.
You don't like toy stores?
Not old-fashioned ones. They're creepy.
Oh, well.
Um, so Mr. Toymaker, what's his name?
Flabberjack.
Flaversham.
Flabbersham.
Yes. Hiram Flaversham.
Flabbersham.
Flaversham. He's making toys. He's hanging out with his daughter Olivia.
Olivia.
Why is he
Olivia?
Scottish?
I think they're both Scottish.
Well, Olivia didn't have a thick enough accent.
She had a pretty thick accent.
It wasn't thick as his.
No, okay.
Well,
I thought she was British and he was
She's
Scottish
new.
and like she was adopted or something. And then I was like, I'm getting the story
have
wrong.
you seen like the geography though about how close Scotland and
It's
England are?
pretty close.
Do I think about geography? No.
I'm just saying
There's a lot of
I'm just saying
Scots.
geographically, like he could have like moved maybe 50 miles
Right,
over the
yeah.
border.
Okay.
Like,
Now
Yeah, I
he's
forget
here.
California can fit like 5 countries in it.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's small.
It's
so
small.
it's small.
So small.
So, Toymaker's hanging out with his daughter Olivia. They're having a good time. They're
It's her
vibing.
birthday.
It's her
And he was
birthday.
kidnapped
And then
by
um,
the bat that caused the coronavirus.
Dang, we went there. I thought you were gonna say like the Black Plague, which I guess is way after. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's France. We're in a different place, right?
geographically close.
Okay, you're right. You're not
hop,
wrong.
skip, and a jump.
We need Luis's history lesson.
Train right away.
Which was not like in the 1600s.
Yeah, it was way earlier.
Oh, gosh.
So, Mr. Flaversham, the toy maker, gets kidnapped by a bat boy, and
With the peg leg.
peg leg bat boy.
That's important for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes the guy away while Olivia hides in like a cupboard, and then she's suddenly alone without a dad.
Can
you
you
wanna know
pause
what I was
because
thinking the whole time?
oh no, go ahead. Tell me what you were thinking, and then I'm gonna tell you what Louise said.
Okay.
Okay, what I was thinking the whole time is that it would be really funny if I saw someone dress as that bat for Halloween with like a peg leg, just like, and they have like bat wings, and everybody's like, "What are you?" And he's like, "I'm a bat."
I'm a bat.
I'm a bat.
What's his name?
His name
Something
is
ridiculous, like
Slimy.
Finkel or something.
It's
Pinkley.
What is it?
Plink.
Pinkley.
It's Fidget.
Fidget.
I said Finkley. There you go. Fidget.
Fidget,
I was
yeah.
way off.
Not necessarily.
Anyways,
the
what
most
was
fitting
Louise
name.
Louise,
saying?
what was your least favorite part in that first scene?
Which one?
The
With
first
the bat
scene.
where he gets kidnapped.
He's like,
Remember he was making her a
Oh
toy for
my
her birthday?
gosh! There you go. I do not. What the heck? What kind of toy is that?
The wind-up toy?
Yes,
It was pretty realistic.
wait,
it's pretty realistic.
are we talking about the ballerina?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it makes sense.
He was so freaked out by this toy.
Dude,
But you know
I
what?
thought it
though?
was like
Hey,
a
hold on,
fairy.
without giving too much away, it makes sense why he was kidnapped, though.
right? Because
So
he's
now we kind of click.
a brilliant
Yeah,
toy
but that
maker.
Oh, because
ballerina
it was-
looked better than the queen. The way it
whoa,
moved.
whoa,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
what's going on? No. We haven't gotten there.
No spoilies.
I'm just saying.
No spoilies.
No spoilers.
But
Okay.
yeah, the
Yeah, that was creepy.
The ballerina he made is fantastic. It's nuts. It's the most
It's a
advanced,
nutcracker on steroids.
the most advanced thing I've ever seen.
He was so freaked out though. He's like, "Why is it moving like that?"
I will agree that it was
Like,
really weird.
It was almost as if it had like coding, and it was like,
yeah.
when this happens, you go here, and then you go
This
here, and then
is
you do this, and then you
Advan-
do
too
that.
advanced
like,
for its
no,
time.
there's no way.
Well,
Ballerina
have you
AI.
seen
Oh,
those?
coding. I thought you said coding. Like it had
But
some
have
kind
you-
of like dress or
No.
something.
Like
No,
coding.
Like, you know, like with the
coding.
little,
Like you had
like
coded,
Luigi's,
yes.
Luigi's little roadsters.
The rollicking
whatever,
roadsters?
You
Yes,
know,
yes.
it's coded to move in a certain place.
No, I
and
get
you
it
know?
now.
Programmed.
I just thought
No,
you
you
were
got
going
it?
to say it was on meth or something.
No, you got it.
Codeine.
But have you ever played
The
with like
coding.
wind-up toys, Louise?
Yeah, but they don't move
Okay,
like that.
they do some crazy stuff because when I was an RBT and I used to buy wind-up toys for this client that really liked them and bring them to his house, there was this monkey, and you would wind it up, and it would walk, and then it would do a backflip, and that was cool.
Not in 1897.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, I've seen backflipping little wind-up toys from Burger King or whatever when I was a kid, but they weren't doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was kind of freaky.
This thing is
And because he was so amazing, he got kidnapped.
right. So he got kidnapped by Peg Leg Bat Boy.
And
Olivia's all alone.
I guess she's really smart because she found an article in the paper about Basil and was like, I'm going to go find this homie.
Yeah.
This
homie.
But
homie
first,
finds other homies.
we're introduced to the sidekick.
Dr. Dawson.
And I just have to say that I am mad about this scene.
Wait, why?
I am mad about this scene because in my brain I'm thinking Sherlock. And my personal favorite character is Watson.
Right.
Like, I love all interpretations of Watson because he's a cool character. Sometimes he's mad, sometimes he's not, sometimes he's funny, whatever.
Right.
He's a war doctor. And they literally, I get it's a kid's movie, but literally all they said was, I just got back from an extensive tour in Afghanistan. Right? Which is hilarious to think of a mouse in Afghanistan. I just wanted...
Why is that hilarious?
It's pretty funny.
I just wanted to see a flashback.
He's got a tiny little gun and
Okay.
he's diving around bombshells and stuff.
Oh my god.
That's all I wanted was a flash. Medic! I needed him in wartime garb in the trenches. I don't know. I just wanted some flashback because tell me that would have been funny.
That would have been hilarious with his little mustache.
Michelle does not think that would have been funny.
I'm not amused.
I'm
no war flashbacks.
So
Not amused.
at myself.
Yeah.
So I was upset. I was like, oh, that's all we're going to get? Fine, whatever. Anywho.
To each their own.
So Dr. Dawson comes in. He's like, hey, I'm writing a little book, la-di-da-di-da. I'm making my way downtown.
Making my way downtown.
So he
found a mouse
just like,
crying
hey,
in a shoe boot.
I'm back in London, and I gotta like find a place to live and stuff like that. So that's all I'm doing right now.
And he found a girl crying in a shoe boot.
Yes, he found Olivia crying in a boot.
A shoe boot.
As you want to do, a shoe boot. Sitting on a box of like liverwurst or something like that.
Liver pills.
Liver pills.
It was liver pills.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that is.
And then Dr. Dawson takes pity on poor little Olivia because she's like 6 years old. You know, why wouldn't he?
Because back then, if a stranger comes up to you, it's okay, I guess.
Well, I guess you can just cry in some random boot then,
yeah.
too.
Toot your own boot.
A shoe boot.
So, Dr. Dawson helps little Olivia find 221.5 Baker Street.
Also, was it triggering that the mouse's name was Olivia?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh,
As soon as we found out her name was Olivia, Hunter was like, oh, this is triggering.
Oh, they're going to be triggered.
They're going to be triggered.
Daddy gets kidnapped. Uh-oh.
I was holding her, and I did say, ooh, Olivia, watch out. Ooh, Olivia, watch out.
But I think because it was a mouse, it was like, hey, whatevs.
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
so.
if it was like a humanoid versus like a, well, I mean, I guess she was humanesque,
Humanoid.
but.
Humanoid.
She
You mean a
wasn't
human.
Honestly, well, more human-like. I don't know. She wasn't that cute of a mouse. It didn't make me feel that bad.
You didn't like her little hat? No.
I know that sounds bad, but like, if they're not super cute, then I'm not that.
The rescuers' mouses are cuter.
Are they? Like, I just am not. She was.
Yeah, let the birds just take them away, you know?
Cat will. But anyways, continue.
Cats in the back.
Yes, so Dr. Dawson is like, I don't know about no Basil, but I remember where Baker Street is. So they go over there, and then they knock on the door, and the housekeeping lady is, they're like, does Dr. Basil live here? And she's like, yes, fortunately. And that's where I was like, okay, this Sherlock's here now,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
That was very Sherlocky. And also and then we're introduced to Basil, I don't know what to say. Basil, thank you. And he's very still eccentric. I get Sherlock vibes from him.
Oh, yeah.
He was Sherlocky.
He walked in wearing a mask and...
like a whole disguise.
Yeah, whole disguise, doing a big old thing, and then he proceeds to...
Ignore them.
And sit in his chair and play his violin all sadly until the thought of a case comes up. And he's like, what's this now? What's this? Oh, well, at first he's like, I'm not helping out little girls. I don't care. Blah, blah, blah,
With
blah,
lost
blah, blah.
fathers.
Yes. But then she mentions Peg Leg Bat Boy and Fidget, right? That's his name.
Fidget.
And then he's like, a peg leg? Oh.
And he gets like real defensive. Does Sherlock have like a number one enemy?
I
not really.
Yes,
well,
but not.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Because he, like, the fact that he knows it's Fidget and that's Ratcliffe's wingman, he's like, oh, And he even has like a picture of Ratcliffe like in his
like
apartment.
on his mantle.
I'm like, okay, calm down. That's why I was saying, does Sherlock have like
he does.
his
Moriarty.
Yes, Moriarty.
Oh yeah, Moriarty's like his arch nemesis. That's right.
His
Yeah.
narch never.
Narch
Oh my
emesis.
God.
Never.
I can't talk today.
Never,
Guys,
never,
I'm
never,
still
never.
hungry. I need some snacks.
You already ate. Anyway.
Hashtag always snacking.
Hashtag always snacking. Bring it
Luis
back.
will get you a snack.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so he's Sherlock
Hand me my
Basil
fortune cookie.
is very obsessed with Ratigan.
That one was mine. Continue.
He's very obsessed with Ratigan.
Ratigan.
He's been trying to catch him for years and years and years or whatever, and he's eluded his grasp every time. So this lead on Ratigan because of Fidget is very enticing to Basil. He plops his hat on. He says, "Let's roll, Dawson." And Olivia, you stay here. And she was like, "No, I'm going with you." And he's like, "I don't like this at all." But
Can I tell you something though? I just made the connection. In my head, I kept thinking there is another Disney character named Fidget. This is really annoying that they named this ugly thing Fidget, and then that big purple dinosaur is called Fidget too. Why is it called Fidget? And I just realized
purple
that the
dinosaur?
purple dinosaur is called Figment, not
Oh.
Fidget.
Oh.
Is it a
That's
it's not
a
a dinosaur, it's a
dragon.
dragon.
yes,
But I kept thinking the whole movie, I was like, why would they call two different things Fidget?
Fidget and Figment.
Okay, there you go. It's a Figment.
There is a Disney character called Gadget from
What?
Gadget. She's a mouse from, or maybe not a mouse. Maybe she's a chipmunk. It's from Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Mm.
My favorite weird Disney character
Oh,
name
she's
is
awesome.
Mortimer. Mortimer Mouse.
Mortimer, man, all these mice.
You don't know who Mortimer Mouse
all
is?
these mices.
That's Mickey's arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't picture it.
My first moose ever was named Mortimer. Go ahead.
My,
All right, moving
my
on.
turtle was named Mortimer as a kid.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that, the one that your parents let die somewhere. in a
No,
class.
he got donated
Let
to
him
a sixth
die.
grade class.
No, I'm pretty sure he died, and they just told you that.
Whatever.
Nah, he did.
So after this, we cut over.
No doubt he's dead now. That was freaking 15 years ago.
Ugh. We cut over to Ratigan because he has captured Mr. Flaversham or whatever, and Pegleg is back.
And he's like forcing him to make a robot.
Yes, forcing him to make a weird bouncy little robot, and we're not sure why. But then we go inside of Ratigan's like lair where he has all his homies, his thugs, his
homies,
his minions, and
It was okay.
His mice thugs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
whoa,
be
whoa, whoa.
specific.
right.
When we're talking about his thugs, it was really bothering me because one of them was clearly not a mouse.
Right, it was like a lizard.
I thought it was a turtle, but
I thought it was
It
a
was a
turtle
frog.
too. Louis
See-
thought it was a frog.
Okay, y'all don't know
Listeners, take
shapes
a vote.
because he
It's
didn't
a
have
turtle.
he didn't have no shell.
his face
He is-
was clearly a turtle.
He is
was
a
a turtle.
disabled turtle, if so, because he is shellless completely. He's homeless. He's a homeless turtle. It's sad.
Fine.
Well, if he was a thief, he probably is homeless. He's living in this Ratigan place.
I lost my shell.
Anyways,
to gamble.
I would say that this next scene though is
In the
probably
war.
the funniest of this movie because it was just ridiculous.
the,
Like the whole
the
song,
Ratigan song.
the song, and just how the song ends. Okay, like I don't know. We'll just get into the
Well,
song.
I mean, explain, because yeah, Ratigan is basically explaining his whole evil plan right here, right? He's like, we gotta, or I am going to take control. I'm gonna
of all mousedom.
I'm taking control of Mousedom. I'm gonna distract the queen. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to be the real leader, because I'm Ratigan, okay? And nobody is as cool as Ratigan.
I'm the leader.
I'm the leader. I'll be the Rat King. Oh, right. And at one point
How dare you?
during the song, Ratigan is playing. They're all bouncing. They're vibing. There's one mouse who is like falling
Drunk.
into the alcohol fountain, and he's wasted, and he's like, Ratigan, you're the best rat there's ever been. And Ratigan's like, what'd you just say to me?
And all the thugs are like, ooh.
It was like record scratch. And then Ratigan's like, don't you ever call me a rat. I'm not a rat. Despite my size, my tail, my stench, I'm not a rat. and he really takes it out on this poor drunk thug. He brings him outside. He rings a little bell, and in from the shadows comes a
Baddest cat ever.
a large behemoth kitty cat who goes behind the drunk mouse and just scoops him up with his mouth, and he's gone forever. You see all the other thugs like take off their hats and they cry because he's
so ridiculous.
He
dead.
looked like Lucifer on steroids, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Lady Tremaine's cat.
Cat. Yeah. Very
Like-
similar cat.
But like on super steroids, or maybe it was just because they were mouse size. But that cat
Right.
looked
It was
gargantuan.
huge.
And why was that cat friends with a rat?
That's
I don't
what Louise
understand.
kept
You know,
saying.
they never really explained. Like Ratigan has the bell, but how did he train this kitty cat?
Oh, you know, through classical conditioning.
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
Because in the next scene, Basil, they go
Hold
up.
on, wait, are we just gonna like go over that song scene? We have
That
nothing
was
else
the
to say.
song. What do you have to say about it?
It was awful.
You
About
don't
the
like the
murdering
song?
about the murdering of widows and orphans?
Well, I mean,
Oh, you mean just the tune?
okay. Here's my thing. There's like 3 songs in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There is?
An evil song,
Yeah.
That's how much I didn't pay attention.
a drunken song.
Right. And then what's the last song?
I think that's it.
There's 2 songs. I
Yeah.
could have done without the song.
Yeah, we
Like-
didn't need them.
Like,
I don't know why they decided to throw in.
I think that's why I like ignored it, kind of, the fact that they were singing.
Well, because I feel like, okay, I understand why they had this song, because in like the Disney era, I get it, but like there wasn't an opening happy song, so why was
Right.
there like automatic? Because I looked at Luis, I'm like, they're about to do a villain song.
Yeah.
Like usually you have like an opening
It's
type
like
of.
really early in the movie, and the first song is villain
It's
song.
villains, and I was like, oh god. And then
odd.
they started later when we get to the bar song. I was like, oh my god, this is a bar song, and it is not it's not like peeping around it. I was like, this is really bad.
Yeah.
The song is funny though.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I just had a problem with like it just being kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
kinda
know this
popped
was
up.
a singing. I didn't know
right.
this was a musical.
This movie
Okay.
is a musical.
So, before we move on about Ratigan, and I don't know if we can like take this photo from this person because it's on Instagram, but we can ask him. But in the 80s, you could meet Ratigan at Disneyland. And do you want to see it?
Really?
It's really bad.
Yeah,
You
show
wanna
me.
see it?
Of course, I want to see it.
I found this yesterday and it freaked me out.
Oh, good lord! You would not want to see him in the park. That is scary. Oh my gosh, that is scary.
Is he like
Oh Jesus! Wow.
His hands,
Let
his
me-
hands, it's human hands.
let me
Oh my
just let me
gosh,
describe this
that's
to our
ridiculous.
listeners.
Okay, so hold on though. Before
This was in the 80s in
no.
Disneyland.
So why was he upset about being called a rat?
Because he's not a rat, but he is a
No,
rat.
he absolutely is a rat.
He
But
doesn't
he
want
What
to
was he
be,
thinking
but
he
he wants to
was?
rule mouse dumb. So he's pretending he's a mouse so he can rule.
I mean, I think that might be like a
Okay.
like a you know like a self-fulfilling self-hatred
You
kind
could
of
crop
prophecy
this
kind
out.
of thing, like
Yeah.
a Voldemort or a
Well,
Hitler.
and-
Oh my goodness, sweet baby. Oh my goodness.
But
Okay, yes,
but think about it. Like if the queen of Mousedom is a mouse,
right.
if he's gonna he needs to be a mouse to be like ruler of Mousedom.
I
Right.
don't know why he
yeah.
doesn't want a real rat dumb, but whatever.
Well, I mean,
because rats are in the sewer.
that
Like,
change can come a little later, right? You know, it's Mousedom right now, but once Ratigan's on top, maybe then he changes it to Ratdom.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, his name is Ratigan.
Right. Okay, so this picture. Ratigan has... Okay, you picture Ratigan from the movie, right? All right, now picture his shape completely different because no human body can be that size. He's really big. His nose is so long. It's a really long nose. His eyebrows are very, very, very thick. His hair looks like a terrible toupee. And he's got on... just the tiniest gloves I've ever seen in my life. Why are
Yeah,
these
I
so
think the fact that they have like
itty-bitty?
human hands, like all of the rats and the mice have like very human hands, where it was like freaking me out. I'm like, they couldn't have made them look like at least kind of claw-ish, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Interessante.
Creepy.
Yeah. So after Ratigan, after all the thugs sing about Ratigan and he murders with a cat, then what happens? Oh, right. Then we cut back to Basil. They're leaving 221.5 Baker Street to go up to 221B Baker Street, where Sherlock Holmes actually lives. You see his silhouette. He's talking to Dr. Watson, and they're going to have their own little adventure on by themselves. But Basil has apparently trained Sherlock's dog. What's the dog's name? Toby. To like ride around and go on adventures with him. So they call Toby. So I think maybe Ratigan and
Toby.
Basil both have great animal training skills. And
They must.
Yeah, one's dog and one's cat. That's how you know which one's good.
Toby
and which
was
one's
probably
evil.
my favorite
Right?
character in this movie. He was so cute.
He was very cute.
Toby's
He was
cute
a
dog.
good boy.
He's like a hound, so he gets the scent of the what clue did they have in the beginning
hat.
of the movie? Yes, the hat.
A
The
fidget.
the bat hat.
The bat hat.
They have the bat hat. He smells it, and they go off on a hunt. They go on a hunt for bats, and they wind up at a toy store. Funny enough, because
Fidget had been given the task
yes,
of getting items for Ratigan's plan.
yes.
This part's actually really funny too.
I got the tools.
I got the tools.
I got the gears.
I got the gears.
I didn't get the girl.
I got
I got the uniforms.
He's actually kind of funny. even though
He
he's
was funny when he was
absolutely
saying, I got the tools.
terrifying.
Check. I got the gears. Check, check. I got the girl. No, don't got the girl. I was like, you're an idiot. But it was really funny.
I love him. And Fidget's like, he's really cool. His
Face though is terrifying.
Oh, he's a scary, silly creature, right? But he's a bat, and y'all know me. I'm a bat fan, right? So
Yeah, Andre loves
Fidget.
bats.
Even when I was a kid, like he was
Do you
scary.
like real bats though?
Oh yeah.
I
when we
mean,
went
yeah.
when we went
Just
to
like
the
Batman.
Oakland Zoo, we probably spent a good 25 minutes looking at the bats because
They're
Andre's just
sick.
obsessed
Okay,
with
they
bats.
got big leathery wings. They fly. They eat fruit. I'm about all of it.
He loves bats.
You're so weird.
They hang upside down. They're cool.
But don't eat a bat because you'll get coronavirus.
I mean,
What?
don't eat a cow. You'll
That's
get
how
mad cow
coronavirus
disease, dog.
started. You don't know that? Because people were eating bats.
Oh.
That
okay.
is the origin of
Okay.
the coronavirus.
Moving on, Corona people.
This episode is no longer timeless, and we're stuck in the middle of
Oh, my
2020.
gosh.
Yeah. So I like the design of Fidget. I don't know what.
He's still weird.
I
though.
wonder
Why does
what
he have a
happened to
bag
him
leg? Yeah.
to lose his. How did he lose his leg? Who you think maybe before
Well, he lost his leg and he has a crippled wing, right?
in the war.
or maybe in the war, or you think maybe when Ratigan was training up that cat, he may have had a few slip ups,
Yeah.
tested on Fidget.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Crunch, munch, munch. So yeah, I like Fidget. So he's in the toy store. He's gathering uniforms off of the Nutcrackers or the London
Tin
Guards.
soldier
Yeah, the tin
things.
soldiers. He's getting tools and gears out of all of the wind up toys.
In the clockwork type
Yes.
thing.
Basil and the crew show up. They figure out that he has entered through one of the glass panes by sticking their finger in a hole and pulling it out. And Dawson's like, dude, you're a straight up genius. I never would have figured that out. They get inside. It's eerily quiet, and all of the toys are insanely
Terrifying.
creepy. Holy
Very scary.
moly.
I hate that. That's why I'm saying I don't like old toy stores and movies because they just make them creepy on purpose.
I mean, yeah, it's a creepy old toy store for sure. Because they got
Well, and now they're at least in the first scene, they were all mouse size and they were mice.
right.
Now it's their mouse size and these are
Oh yeah,
people size
Yeah.
toys.
yeah,
These
way
like-
worse
These
now.
like 12-inch dolls and stuff like that, and they're
And they
towering
were
over them.
Very
Mhm.
scary.
And they're not pretty. It was like dolls and porcelain dolls mostly. They go to the store. Basil starts figuring out that all the uniforms and stuff are gone. They're trying to figure out what's been happening there. And then I think Fidget kind of gets the jump on them. He starts setting off all the toys and having them attack basically Basil and the crew. The thing I remember most from this scene is that a doll is walking over to Basil, and then it trips on something, and its face breaks when it hits the ground, and it's
For
Dude,
sure.
yeah,
That's what
that
tripped
was-
you out. Huh?
That was terrifying.
it was
And half of
Scary.
the faces on the thing, the eye is closing.
Yeah, that was really freaky.
wow, scary.
it was so scary. And while this is all happening, Basil tells Dr. Dawson to keep an eye on Olivia because she's kind of wandering around because it's a toy store and it's fun and whatnot. So Dr. Dawson's like, yeah, I'm on it. But then the toys come and distract him. Olivia walks away because she sees some bubbles coming out of a Dumbo toy, cameo. And then she makes her way over to a creepy bassinet and then puts her face in it. And guess who it is? It's Fidget. I got the girl.
You sound just like him. Jeez. Did you practice
No,
this?
I didn't.
And you know what happens is if you guys weren't here and he was just like randomly doing this, I'd probably hit him
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's so creepy.
Us-
Every time he does voices like this, I'm like, ah!
I'm on the
Jesus."
other end of the couch right now. So Fidget gets Olivia and gets away. Basil and Dr. Dawson have to fight their way out of the toy store, basically, to get away from the crazy evil toys. And now they have to
Figure out what they're gonna do.
figure out what they're going to do next to get her back. They do find one clue, or Dr. Dawson finds one clue. He finds the list of things that Fidget is supposed to get. Tools, check. Gears, check. Girl, got her. Uniforms. Michelle hates me right now.
Her face,
And
though.
it's pretty funny.
It's disgusting, dude.
So this is the scene where we go back to 221.5 Baker Street, and Basil starts getting to work on figuring out where this list came from. He starts doing all kinds of tests,
Yeah.
litmus and whatnot.
See, he got all national treasure on them.
Yeah, he pulled a national treasure for sure. He like grinds it up into dust and sets it aflame and mixes it with sodium chloride or something like that and sends it all through the tubes and whatnot. And when I was a kid, I was like, it was blowing my mind. I was like, what is happening? There's smoke going off. It was crazy. It was nuts.
It was your basic chemistry experiment.
It's pretty rudimentary,
Yeah,
elementary chemistry set or whatever.
Elementary what?
Elementary Watson. But he ends up figuring out that it's like down by the docks. That's where it came from. or
Down
whatever,
by
right?
the docks.
Where
Where
the river meets the bay or something like that.
waterfront.
And then
The
they
waterfront.
said now the next part's even better because he says we got to find like the sleaziest place. Is that what you call it?
Sleazy.
Sleazy?
Sleazy.
Sleaziest.
What do you call
The
it?
sneeziest place.
Sleazy.
Sleazy.
Sleazy. Oh, not show.
Yeah, you don't need to throw that H in there.
The sleaziest.
A sleazy place.
I don't think he said sleazy though. He used a different word, which was really fun.
I don't remember.
I thought he said-
But anywho, we can use
Anyways,
sleazy.
they gotta find a sleazy bar, the sleaziest bar by the docks, and they find it. And once again, this whole next scene is just ridiculous too. Like, this is the thing: is like these kids' movies back in the day, like
They
you
did not
could
care.
do this. You couldn't do this now.
No.
I mean,
You know how
it's-
many moms would be up on their blog complaining?
Right. But I mean, it's interesting because
how many moms would be up on their
because there was like
I love that.
mom blogging.
They
I'm
would.
curious.
Because there's like this kind of movie with like some adult stuff in it, and then there's like a Shrek style kind of movie with like a bunch of adult stuff in
Yeah.
it, and
Oh
then,
my gosh,
But I
Shrek.
mean, like now, is there a movie that's like that? Are there like
No.
the Trolls isn't like that? None of the DreamWorks
With like
stuff?
really adulty type stuff like
No.
that.
I mean, and even the
No.
Pixar stuff, it has stuff for adults, but it's definitely not adulty.
No.
But not like-
this.
Because this this next scene is 100%. I mean, not only are they in a bar, so like let's take it for example. Like we said in our Toy Story 4 episode, we
Mhm.
said they're in the antique store. They walked into a bar. We did
Right.
say that,
Yes.
which because it kind of felt like what would be a bar,
Right.
But you saw no.
There's no drinking.
There's
there was
no
no
drinking,
smoking.
no smoking,
There was no girls.
nothing lewd.
Right.
You know, this was they were in.
It was a
bar.
pub.
Yeah.
Like
It
it
was
was
a
a
pub.
straight up pub.
They were all drunk.
Yes.
They were getting in fights.
It's
They
like
were
the
doing. They were
what's-
smoking.
What's that unicorn place in Tangled? What's it called?
The Snuggly Duckling.
The Snuggly Duckling. That's right. Yeah, it's a seedy place like that, but worse in this movie
Yeah.
for sure. So they go in disguise. Basil is wearing like a trench coat and a mustache. Meanwhile, Dr. Dawson is
Did he look like Mr. Shmee?
exactly like Mr. Shmee. It's like dead on.
Which again, you're adding an H where there doesn't need to be an H, but I appreciate it.
Shmee.
Mr. Shmee.
Shmee. Yes.
Shaleezy Shmee.
He was dressed exactly like him.
Yeah, so they go in there pirate style. Basil
Pirate
says like,
style.
just do as I do, and when he puts his hands in his
Literally
pockets and he just like waddles behind them, it's so funny. They sit down.
because he does not know anything he's doing. He's just
Right.
like fish out of water,
Was he
but
drunk
digging
at
it.
that point?
No, not yet.
Not yet. He wasn't drunk. He got like drugged.
Yeah,
Even
all
worse.
kinds
Even
of-
worse for a
kinds of-
kids movie.
all kinds of wild stuff is happening in here. So they go in, they sit down. I think they order drinks, and then the song starts playing. And this is the second song of the movie, where actually, okay, a couple things are happening. There's an octopus juggling or something like that. They get the crowd is heckling the heck out of this octopus. They're throwing tomatoes and stuff. They hate it. They're not fans.
Even though Mr. Dawson thinks it's hilarious.
He's clapping. He's the only person clapping in the room. A couple other acts go up. They all get tomatoed off the stage, and then a lady comes up and she starts to sing. And right as they're about to throw their tomatoes, they're like, "Oh, we kind of like her voice and what she's talking about." I don't. What is the song about?
It's very suggestive. It's like, whatever you need, I will go all the way for you.
Yeah.
I'll do anything you need.
It's sung
anything
by a nice,
for you.
nice
And you're
young
like,
lady mouse.
wow, okay, little lady mouse. And Louie, tell us what you thought about this lady mouse, because I was right there with you.
I thought at first that she was going to, that she wasn't all that attractive, and for what they were complaining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, it is a mouse.
Okay.
then she turns on the heat.
Not what I was going to say at all.
What were you
That
gonna
was
say?
not where I was going with that. Luis said to me that he thought that she was going to become a character because they were placing so much emphasis on her, and it not just being like in the background.
I thought that too.
I thought she was going to like jump off the stage and help them, or like deter them, or do something. It literally was like, oh, so this is just a song.
Yeah.
I was very confused about what her part was, because it seemed like she was important and she was not.
The song, by the way, is called "Let Me Be Good to You."
That's what it's called. There you go.
What did I say immediately?
Part.
I said this is a her song. Sorry, PG.
I wonder if I have to bleep that. Anyway.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's y'all ever heard
You
that?
know what? And the kids were watching this, so they gonna learn.
I mean, yeah, the 86 kids, you know, they knew what was up.
Well, I mean, they didn't, but they were like,
know.
"Mommy, what's that?" You know what I mean? Like, let's be real.
How's she gonna be good to me? Anyway, so she starts like wilding out. She's bringing go-go dancers on the stage and stuff like that. It's party
time. She
time.
like rips off her dress at some point.
Yes, and the thighs are out and they're
you know
moving
what was
and
good
grooving.
about it was Luis goes, you know, at least she's not really dressed that suggestively.
And
then
then
she
boom.
like pulled it off. He's like, oh, there's a garter.
Yeah, garter and everything. So while she's up there getting
thighs are out.
while she's up there with the thighs out, Basil and Dr. Dawson's drinks are served to them, and the bartender, under the direction of Fidget, who is there? Who directs them to drug them up?
Oh, this is why. So right when Basil comes in, he sits down, and the barkeep lady comes over and asks, "What do you guys like? Want any drinks or anything?" And he's like, "Well, you know, I just came into port," because he's pretending to be like a captain or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, "And I'm looking for my good friend Ratigan. Have you seen him?"
Right.
And she immediately like, ooh, like, no, like I haven't seen him.
Ratigan.
Like she very obviously knew who he was and was not going to say anything.
Right.
And we see her kind of in the background go over to the barkeeper or the bartender and tell him something, and then he like puts like poison or drugs.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
why is he trying to drug them?
I think to maybe
future
knock them
plan?
out and keep
to like
them
knock
there.
him out and take him to Ratigan,
Correct.
like something
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Just because like if someone's going around asking for Ratigan, maybe he's like they're under like orders to tell him.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
To lock him up.
So they get the drinks
So they
back.
get their drinks. Basil smells it and he's like, "This is poison. Don't drink this." Dr. Ben said, don't drink it. And then Dr. Dawson has already downed the entire drink.
Okay, but he was
Woo!
only drugged for like 5 minutes, okay?
No, it was like a good 3 seconds. It's like, wow, you better hope they got him where he needed to go in those 3 minutes.
It was
right.
short. Like next thing you know, he's on stage dancing with the hoochie girl, and then the next thing you know, a bar fight started, and he's knocked out, and he wakes up, and he's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Okay,
what happened?
The drugs weren't strong enough."
Am I okay?
Obviously.
Yeah, it's real fast acting roofie or whatever he's got in there. So yeah.
He did ask for a sherry though, which was cute.
Yeah.
Remember?
Can I have a sherry?
Can I have a dry sherry?
So once Dr. Dawson is recovered, they under the helter skelter of the bar fight. I don't know why that was the word that thought came to my mind. They sneak out And
they see Fidget.
They see Fidget.
They
That's
see
right.
him walking through the pub, and they see him like go behind the bar, so they follow him, and they're actually able to follow him all the way into Ratigan's secret lair,
They
which
give
is
chase
through sewer pipes,
through the pipes.
and through
Secret lair.
nasty.
Fidget's like, Fidget.
I like how he
Going through the
narrates his walking. I'm going through pipes. I like to walk, and then we go right, and then we turn left.
Foot pig.
Oh,
yeah.
And he's like singing the song in the drain too.
Yeah.
He's like, "Be good to me." So creepy.
I'll be good to you.
It's the definition of a creeper. Creepy bat.
I need to find the picture of the guy who voices him, 'cause it's so
Fidget
good.
is so funny. Oh yeah, there was one part a little bit earlier, I think, when they were at the toy store, where Fidget like gets hurt, something falls on his foot, and he's like, my foot, my only foot.
Yes, I remember that.
Hilarious. So yes, they follow they follow Fidget. He
Wanting to say fidget spinner every time you say it. It's so annoying.
They follow Fidget. They make their appearance. They see that this is Ratigan's lair, and then they also see where Ratigan has been keeping Olivia in a bottle, right outside the lair. So they sneak up to the bottle, and they're like, "Oh snap, Olivia, are you okay? Are you in there? Are you in there?" They pull the cork out, and guess who's not Olivia? Fidget. He's
That was
in
also creepy. Fidget's gross,
That was
dude.
the scariest scene to me.
God, if I
when-
thought it was my kid and I turned around and saw that monstrosity.
When Olivia quote unquote turned around and it was
Mhm.
Fidget's face,
Yes.
I was like,
Ugh.
yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, it was
very
creepy.
It was definitely freaky.
So it's a straight up trap. Fidget
It's a
with
trap.
plant. Is that Fidget?
This is a picture of the guy that plays Fidget.
What's his name? His
Okay.
name is
Candido.
Candido.
It's a
His
trap.
name is Candy Candido.
Candy Candido. Okay. Cool. That's the dopest name I've ever
That's
heard
what I'm saying.
in my
Sup,
life.
Candy Candido.
So it's a trap. Ratigan comes out. He's like, "Ha ha! You fell right into my trap. Now I can take me and Flaversham's crazy creepy robot out to go replace the queen." That's the ultimate plan. Is to build a robot so lifelike that it can replace the Queen of Mousdom.
And the robot like I said, the robot looks worse than the wind-up toy he made.
I mean, yeah, the wind-up toy is smaller,
Not believable,
more precise,
in my opinion.
and he wasn't under the duress of "they've got my daughter. I guess I better finish this." So
That's true.
yeah, it's true.
gotta
I
work
guess
out the kinks and stuff like that.
They should have given him more time. Like, what they give him, like 1 day?
Yeah. I don't
Okay,
know
if you
why.
think about it, all of these events are taking place at nighttime in this movie. So isn't this like 1 day?
That's right.
Isn't this just one night?
This is the only Disney movie to take place entirely at night. There's no daytime scenes.
I think it's just
at
that
all in this.
night. Like,
I don't know if it's all just one night, but probably, yeah. I think you're right. He gets
no, I
kidnapped,
think it's just like all the same night.
and then
Yeah.
by morning, it's time to finish that robot.
Dang.
Which is kind of wild.
It makes sense though, because didn't they say it was like the day of her jubilee? Like right at
Yes.
the beginning, they said it was the Queen's jubilee,
Right.
Diamond Jubilee.
Diamond
Yeah.
Jubilee. Yeah. So the plan
And
is.
Luis was giving me all kinds of historical lessons before the movie
Oh,
even
do you-
started, and I was like, "Oh,
You know about jubilees, Lou?
What's a jubilee?
Actually, I had it all wrong. I thought it was 20 years, but it's 60.
60 years of her serving the kingdom, the Mousdom.
Correcto.
Gotcha. Okay.
but he was giving me historical facts, even though they were
They were mouse mouse facts.
incorrect historical facts."
That's a lot. It's a long reign.
It is long. Go ahead.
Congrats to the queen. So they.
Is it the same 60 years as the Queen, though?
I mean,
Probably.
Well, it would have been a different queen. It's 1897, right? Elizabeth's not that old.
Nah, that was Queen
No,
Elizabeth. Right there.
pretty sure
That was
it's the
Queen
same
Elizabeth.
queen.
That was Queen Elizabeth.
She's been rocking it for a while, like 200 years. Okay.
There ain't no way that wasn't Queen Elizabeth.
So.
Most deaf.
So Ratigan ties up Basil and Dr. Dawson and puts them in the most elaborate villain trap that I've
That's
seen.
a mouse
It
trap.
was a mousetrap.
It's a mousetrap, literally.
Like
But-
the movie, which I'm not the movie, like the board game,
Like
which
the
made me
game.
very happy.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're on a mousetrap. There's an axe above them. There's a gun over here to the right, and then there's an anvil. Is there anything else?
And an arrow.
And there's an arrow. So
And a gun. Did you say the gun?
yes, I
Yeah.
said the gun. And what does he do? He like lights a wick and then walks away.
No.
I don't remember.
No, he doesn't light a wick. This is an Acme. Get out of here. Which, even though with the anvil, anytime there's an anvil, I think of Acme, which is like
I just immediately jumped to
like coyote.
the Wile E. Coyote.
Wiley, thank you. I'm like, no.
Meep.
I don't like it. Okay. So pretty much he put this was so ridiculous. I literally wanted to throw something at the TV. Ratigan forethought to record himself singing a song on a.
That's right. This is the third song.
What is this? What is this?
A record player.
A record, right? So he
ridiculous.
He puts the record on, and as the song goes, and the record, what do you call that? Pin?
Yeah.
The record pin goes. It's gonna tighten a string that's attached to it. Which then, when the song is over, it'll get so tight that a ball will be released, go through the entire mousetrap game-like contraption, and will set off the mousetrap that they're holding, which will then
the trap, the gun, the
allow
axe, the
everything to
anvil, the arrow,
quadruple kill them.
Yeah, get Rasputin to death, basically.
And then the best part is that will then, after everything, hit a
turns on a camera.
A camera at the time will then take a picture of the dead mice.
The song that's
something the Joker would do. I'm just saying.
Yes, it's a
very Jokery.
It's a very super villainy as plan.
Yeah,
the
I was
song,
like, this turned into like a super villain.
Is called "Goodbye So Soon."
And it was also the credit song, which was cracking me up too. I was like, okay.
What's really good about this though too is that it reminds me of like usually villains go down in their like villainous no, their villainous monologue, right?
Right. Yes.
Sure.
And so this is his villain monologue.
Yes.
Like his
you
song.
got me monologuing. Yes, just like that.
I love it.
And so
he didn't like Villainius. I thought it was a fantastic.
I like Villainius.
Sound like baloney.
So just like a supervillain, Ratigan, he takes off. He's like, all right, I'm gonna play the song. I'm going to carry out the rest of my plans. See you never, because you're gonna die. And then Basil.
Luis literally was
Basil gave up.
Luis was like, wouldn't you want to stick around and see it? Who cares if you have photographic evidence?
That's more gross.
Well,
like, I don't want a photo of it.
To be fair, Basil was 15 minutes late. He thought Basil was going to get there 15 minutes early. He would have been able to stick around, do the monologue, and watch him die.
And also, I got to say, like, when they celebrated that Basil got there, all I could think of was the scene from the Winnie the Pooh ride where they're like, yeah, it's your birthday. They're, like, celebrating. I was like, this is a surprise party.
So
the way my brain works, guys.
So
it's for you, Basil.
Yay! So Basil's pretty dejected at this point. He's like, I can't believe I fell into his trap. I'm not a good detective.
He's being annoying. Woe is me. Don't care about this little girl or this dude.
But
I won't lie. Yeah, that kind of bugged me because I was like, hey, no Sherlock giving up.
Right.
No, never.
What kind of Sherlock are you, Basil? Boo.
Basil the Bacon Street.
What happens then? Then Dawson is there, and he's gotta kick him into high gear, right? He
basically tells him get it together and it's fine, and he says something that makes Basil realize that they can escape because they have to pull the lever at the exact time that the bullet's gonna come to like catch the bullet in midair,
which is a little scary.
Yeah,
because it's hard to do that in general.
But they did it.
They definitely did it. The whole trap goes off after the song ends.
And then they smile for the camera.
And they smile for the camera after the axe cuts them loose and they get out of there.
It was very daring. It was nice.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. It was a fun action romp. So after they get out, they grab Olivia. They go to Buckingham Palace where the
Queen is.
The Jubilee is set to happen.
Luis was also very happy that there was a crack in the pavement and there were roses over the crack in which all of the mice walked through to see the Mouse Queen.
That's funny.
That it was a miniature. No, Lou, not excited about the miniature Mouse Queen. Am I lying? Did I make that up that you were excited?
He's excited about it.
No, I don't remember being excited for it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm lying.
You're not lying. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
It happened last night,
Last
y'all.
night.
We watched this like less than 24 hours ago.
Dad brain. Anyways.
So they're planning on swapping out the queen. They
For this monstrous
for this
toy contraption thing.
Yes, they swap her out. They try to take her over to Felicia the cat. I forgot to mention that the cat's name is Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Which is very funny.
Yeah, that may or may not have been said multiple times in this household.
The toy queen is there. She declares Ratigan the new leader of the mousedom, and right about then is when Basil and the homies roll up. And they're like, nah,
Pretty much.
disagree. And then they point out that the queen is fake. And then they lead them, Ratigan leads them on a wild goose chase where a Fidget shows up in the craziest balloon contraption that I've ever seen. It's like a bike.
It was silly.
Attached to a balloon.
It was like a blimp.
Yeah, it was like a blimp. And then Ratigan hops on that. And they like fly away, but I believe Basil hops on to the end of it while Dr. Dawson and Olivia have to like run up behind them, and somehow they make their way all the way over to Big Ben. I don't know how far away Buckingham Palace is from Big Ben. But I don't know if
Probably far.
a couple of mice could make it there.
I'm gonna figure it out right now.
It turned into Peter Pan / Beauty and the Beast on this last scene.
I
With, like-
totally thought this was Beauty and the Beast.
Like
in
with
the last
Ratigan
scene.
becoming like a massive beast. I was
For
like,
Right.
sure.
okay.
Yes, it's
He's
crazy.
a rat.
And them all like falling down. The
I
little
thought it was
pieces and
Dr.
stuff.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, that too.
Similar.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all
This
that.
whole scene though, so they kind of crash land into Big Ben, and this scene bothered me. I hate when Disney does this. I know that it's supposed to be like, woo, so cool, but I
Yeah.
don't like it. You can tell they add a different type of animation in,
Yes.
and it just throws off the
whole vibe, the whole scheme, the theme of the
cohesiveness
of
thank
the
you.
movie.
Because I realized it was supposed to be cool because it got it wasn't 3D, but it got more.
This is technically Disney's first use of 3D animation.
Okay, so
in-
maybe it
in a
was
film.
3D.
Yes. So all the gears inside of the clock tower, it goes this crazy 3D shot where it's like time is moving and the gears are moving and stuff like that. And that's how Basil and Ratigan are like fighting inside of the clock tower at this particular time.
Which it was cool, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but it was not at all like in any way close to the other parts of the movie. So it literally looked like you just like stuck in a different movie and just
It looked out of place.
It was a little out of
It's
place.
like Hercules all over again.
Yeah, Hercules did that,
Yeah.
and Treasure Planet had a little bit of that.
Yes.
But it's that all.
and Tarzan's legs.
Yeah, Tarzan. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Just his legs.
this is '86. This is before all of those. I'm trying to think
sure.
of the one after. Oh, Aladdin had that in the Cave of Wonders when they're like flying out of there. That kind of 3D animation.
Ahead of the bright line. Sorry.
Ahead
of the sword.
I steal only what I can afford. Louis, what's the next line?
Which is everything.
Oh, nice.
Mic drop.
Boom.
Wow.
Technically, it's that's everything.
You know
Whatever,
what? You
whatever.
shut your mouth. You give that to
Was.
him.
Hey, for effort.
That was good,
Louis, that was. Oh my god.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
they're fighting.
I knew what you were going to say. We got lots of bleep out this. Okay, anyways.
they're fighting in Big Ben. Ratigan, he's going buck wild crazy.
He literally is
He's
disgusting.
turned into a giant rat, nasty rat creature. He's getting grosser and grosser by the second. He definitely has the plague now, and he's
First rat with the plague right there.
Coronavirus.
he
right
lunges
there.
he lunges after Basil, hits him. They both fall out of Big Ben. They're flying.
Yes, they do.
they're falling. I don't know if you've
Flying
seen
through
it.
the air with the greatest of ease.
It's a pretty big clock tower. They're mice and rats. They're not
Flying
gonna,
trapeze mouse.
they're not gonna make it.
There is no trapeze.
They shouldn't have made it in the first place because if they ran into Big Ben, their little tiny mice body wouldn't have cracked
Wouldn't have
that
crashed through the
clock.
glass.
Okay? Sorry.
It
Y'all
would have
would've
just
gotten
bounced off of
scooshed.
it.
You would have been scooshed.
I guess that makes
Yeah,
sense.
scooshed.
It's very thin glass on Big Ben. Very thin.
Whatever.
They're falling.
Not according to Peter Pan.
Dr. Dawson and Olivia are like, oh no, he's dead. But Turns out Basil was holding on to the bike
Little
part
bike.
of the of the blimp, and he flies himself up and saves everybody and saves the day because Ratigan he ain't have no bike. Okay, he's
That's an American song. Never
But
mind.
you know
he's
what's
a rat
good?
splat.
What's good
Oh,
about
rat splat.
It's funny too because Luis and I were at that point thinking like, how's this gonna end? Because at least in the Tony
Sherlock?
Stark version,
Oh, the Robert Downey Jr.
you know, they fall over the side
Yes.
of the waterfall and they're assumed to be dead,
Mm-hmm.
both of them.
Right.
So
Like for a
we-
while.
Right. So then Luis and I were like, oh my gosh, they're going to have to fall off of Big Ben because you're thinking like that's how like they're both going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool that like you think they're both gone. And of course in Disney style, they have to
Right.
come back
Yes,
right
just
away.
Come right back up through the fog.
But that was a cool thing that like at least you thought they both went. It wasn't just like
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
them fell.
Yeah,
like
that's
it
true.
seemed like he had both
It
gone.
was still very Beauty and the Beast to me. It's like, there he goes.
Just so
Yeah.
you know, I just looked it up, and Buckingham Palace is a 17-minute walk to Big Ben.
Okay, I guess that's not very
So it's
far.
not that
Yeah,
far.
it's like a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
It's 0.8 of a mile.
Now, can you put in
Not bad.
the mouse walking directions and see how long that takes?
Yes, I will.
How-
It's mouse flying direction.
Oh, that's right, they were
How
flying.
much is 0.8
Well,
of a
that-
mile to a mile?
That's what I was
Riding
trying
a
to say.
bike
Well,
in
it
the
was
sky.
like,
50
should I put it as a
miles.
car?
Riding
should I
the
put
sky
it?
bike.
Should I put it by walking?
By
should
foot?
I put it by
No,
biking?
By
sky
bike.
biking. A mouse on the sky bike.
on a sky bike.
Well, it only has regular bikes.
Okay, well,
Public transportation.
yeah, mice on a bus.
Ew.
So that's
Snakes on a plane.
Bats on a rat.
that's basically the end of the movie. Ratigan falls to his death, and they go back to Baker Street. Flaversham and Minnie Flaversham are reunited once more, and Dr. Dawson has found a new roommate in Basil of Baker Street.
And just so you know, it
The
is
end.
53 minutes walking distance
Okay.
from Big Ben to 221B Baker Street.
Oh, so it took a little
So
while.
it took them 6 days.
Took a little while to get back. They
to
didn't have
get
that.
back.
They didn't have that whole blimp. You know, they couldn't fly back.
This happened in one night. These are superhuman minds.
That's what I'm saying.
Super mice.
So you got the flash in them. They're like, bzz,
Dawson would be much skinnier if it had a
Yeah, so that's the Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah,
The
it was pretty
end.
good.
Yeah, not a bad movie.
it's all right.
Not a bad film. And people thought it was pretty good too. It has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Which is interesting is that it has a 79% tomato meter, and then the audience score is also 79%. Everybody's on the same level with this movie. Pretty good.
Interesting.
You know, the it's one of the trivias that I had was that the producers first wanted Basil's voice to be John Cleese.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who John Cleese
Yes,
is?
from Monty Python.
Yes, the Lancelot in Monty Python,
Yes.
which I think would be pretty funny. But
Yeah.
this guy was okay.
Yes.
That just I think would have made it a little bit more iconic voice wise,
Right.
and but it probably would have been a little bit more funny.
Yeah,
just
that's
because he
true.
kind of has
He's
like that
funnier.
kind of funny dry voice.
Exactly.
Um,
I'm trying to think of what other Disney characters he's been, but nothing is coming to mind. He
I
was
don't know.
he was in a series of unfortunate events. He was the reptile guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have one other trivia thing.
Yes.
So there was. So I was gonna say the Dumbo thing that you said, and that one was very overt,
Yeah,
right? That it was a Dumbo toy.
Mhm.
And then this one was cool when Professor Ratigan is proclaiming himself supreme ruler of all of Mousedom. One of his followers lights a cigarette, and it has a Mickey. That guy who lights the cigarette has a Mickey Mouse shaped cufflink
Oh, really?
on one of his arms.
Whoa,
arms.
hidden Mickey.
Hidden Mickey.
Hidden Schmickey.
Gotta love hidden schmickies.
Schmickies.
There was like a lot of smoking in this movie.
A lot
like,
of smoking.
Way more than yeah, and I noticed it pretty quick. Basil has his pipe, right? And it's like, okay, that's a Sherlock Holmes thing. He's smoking out of a pipe or whatever. And then like all the thugs are smoking, and then you go into the bar and everybody's smoking in there, and it's like, wow.
He even had a machine that we're
Yeah.
all smoking at once. Did you see that in the beginning?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
with
oh my
all
God.
of his things lit, so he could just like grab one.
Exactly.
And
Which
It was
is
like a
crazy.
pipe and cigarettes, and then
Yes.
like a multifaceted
And then there were
cigarette.
boots going on paper for some reason. Yeah, he had a whole
Dramatic.
bunch of stuff going on in there. But yeah, there's a lot of smoking for a Disney movie. I guess they let that particular rule kind of lapse for this one. I don't know how many other Disney movies have a ton of smoking in them.
Pinocchio, but
Pinocchio,
actually, there are quite a few.
But that was
I feel
like
older
40 years
Disney
before
movies.
this.
That's
you know?
true. The older ones are a little bit more smoky.
Smoking. Speaking of smoking, this movie made some shmoney at the box office. It had a budget of $14 million, and it had a worldwide gross, or actually, this is the North American gross, but I don't think it was released worldwide. It had an American gross of $38.7 million. So they
Which for back then.
they more than doubled their money. So it was a smash hit. And like I said,
You said this is the one right after Black Cauldron?
this is the one right after Black Cauldron, and I think there might have been one more before The Little Mermaid, but you know, it's before The Little Mermaid, which really exploded their animation department.
Well,
So,
good for them.
Yeah, Great Mouse Detective, the real savior of
Which is
of Disney
hilarious
animation.
because the musical piece here is like
yeah.
is really bad.
They didn't have Macon on deck quite yet.
But that's funny if you think about it, that like it still did that well
Right.
with that, to me personally, major flaw of the movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like you could take, I mean, I guess it's funny. Would it have been as funny that he recorded his own song for him to die to if he hadn't already sang? I don't know. Maybe
Right.
not.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have been as funny. Maybe it
That's
would have just
true.
been bizarre.
Yeah, so they had to throw in a song before that. Just
But
to-
then, like,
Yeah, that
then the
makes
bar
sense.
scene, like, then you should have at least added one more song.
there should have been a Basil song.
Yeah, you
or-
should have had like
or an
a
Olivia song or something
right,
like
a
that.
sad song.
Yeah.
Even though I hate those.
is gone.
Oh,
My name is Flavish, I'm not Flabberbolt.
Yeah,
That's a different mouse.
That's a different mouse from a different company.
In
Anyway,
case you were wondering.
and there was Oliver and Company between this and The Little Mermaid.
Why should I worry? Why should I care?
So they did something different with
Hey,
music on that one.
Hey, Luis, is Gurgi or Fidget more annoying?
Ooh, good question.
He's not on mic.
Oh,
Don't
he
ask
made
him
a
a
face.
question.
Yeah, don't ask him a question when he's
because he'll
45
answer
feet
it
away.
off.
He went.
He
made a
gasped.
face like they're both annoying.
He does not know, but he also is not
I
rushing
thought
over here to
Gurgi was
answer.
much more annoying than Fidget. Fidget was just like terrifying.
I agree.
Gurgi is the least annoying.
Okay.
Did you say he's least annoying?
This is from Gurgi's perspective. Gurgi is the best.
Can I have a cookie?
Gurgi is the greatest of all
Okay,
time.
babe.
You want to know what this is good for, though? Is that the other day I went to one of my friend's house, and her family is super into puzzles, right? Like
Okay.
they always have a puzzle on their table every time I go over there. And this time they had this super cool, like super Art Deco villains puzzle going on. And she's like asking me, she's like, we're looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. And we're going through all the different villains. And she asked me a couple of them that she didn't know, which were kind of more obscure.
Sure.
Right? And then she points at this rat, and I'm like, I have no idea. Never seen that in my life. And so we're watching this, and Ratigan comes on the screen for the first time. And I am literally pick up my phone, and I'm like, I know what it is.
It's Ratigan.
And you know
It's
what she says?
Professor Ratigan.
I'm like, oh my God, I figured out who that rat was on your
Puzzle.
puzzle. And she writes back, yeah, it's a Ratigan. And she goes, we just watched The Great Mouse Detective 2 days ago. And I was like, shut
there you go.
I was like, I was so excited to tell you.
I figured it out.
Yeah, well,
Disney Plus,
Wow.
man.
there you go. She
Yeah.
Sherlocked it before I did.
Right?
Ugh. Disney Plus just opening all those doors
Discovering all
Disney
kinds
Plus,
of
man.
mysteries.
about these ugly rats. Ooh, he's so... Ugh.
Ratty. What is he a professor of?
Professor
That's-
Ratigan?
It's funny that you say that because I said the same thing to Luis, and Luis said that because Moriarty was a professor,
Oh, okay.
he said that
I
that's
think they
probably
just,
why
made
he
him
was
a
like
professor.
Professor Ratigan
Professor Madigan.
in the
in the RDJ movies, he's a professor.
Tony Stark movies.
Yeah,
Yes.
in the Tony Stark ones. All right, let's rate this
Tony
bad boy.
Stark as Sherlock.
I gave it a 7. It's a,
Seven.
so a solid C. It's not lower than that, and it ain't higher than it either. There's been worse. There's been better. It's a C. It's a 7. That's all I have to say.
I really like that. That was
all I have to
Solid.
say. I like how I didn't even ask who was going first. I just
It was
It
you.
was you.
it was me, and that's all I have to say.
I think I'm
Why
gonna.
is it-
You're just so commanding with it. I think I'm gonna go pretty similarly. I'm gonna do 7.5. I
Disagree.
and since we picked this movie because I had enjoyed it so much as a child, and as an adult, it's a little more
Still
lackluster.
only gets a 0.5 because you liked it as a kid.
Shut up,
well-
you over there who's always like, I loved this as a kid, so I'm going to give it a 75.
Yeah, dude.
So good.
I enjoyed it this time, but I didn't enjoy it as much as when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I probably would have given it like a 9.5, but
Really?
now it's a
You
7.
would have given it an 11.
That was us with Smart House, though. Remember, I was like, "This movie's
Right, yeah.
dope,"
It's the best
and then we
movie of all
watched it again,
time.
and we were like, "Oh, ay."
Ay.
Okay.
Yes, 7.5. Good stuff. I didn't like the score. I was like noticing it a lot, and I was like,
Yep.
this doesn't necessarily fit. But
Yeah.
the bar song is a bop, and I'll be listening to it on repeat.
The bar
Forever
song
and ever,
or
yeah,
the
the bar
Ratigan
song.
song.
I'll be good to you.
Ew, if you sing that in our sleep, I'm gonna punch you.
I'll be good to you.
You know, this is exactly what it's like being married to him. I hope everybody knows that.
Can't
This
wait
is-
to be so good to you.
this is what it's like. This is what it's like. Wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, Emily. She can't even right now.
It's the hand movements you're doing that are awesome. He has his like
I'm a bad man.
he
I
has
got
his
my
wings
my
out.
arms out here, and my big leg, and my foot.
when Felicia like is chopping him to bits and she's like eating him or whatever, and he like escapes out of her mouth, he comes out and there's a bunch of holes in his ears, which is really funny to me.
That was
it's funny
so
that you say
gross.
that because I like continuity wise, I wish they would have kept
Kept
the
the
holes
holes?
in his ears the whole time because that would have been really funny. Because I did think that was fantastic.
He should have been
that
going
he
like, what?
had- like he couldn't hear anymore.
What's that?
Now he has no ears and only one foot.
This is a disabled bat. Ay, caramba.
No, his ears too, Lou.
Yeah.
Dude's a
Anyhow.
hot mess. Okay, Emily.
It was a 6.8.
6.8.
I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
6.8.
6.8.
Yeah.
That's a failed the class. A 6.8.
I mean, you can retake it, you know.
6.8
The
is.
Rescuers.
I'm pretty sure that's still passing though
No.
in high school.
What?
Luis is 6.8 still passing.
He nods.
It's a D.
It's a
D
D.
passes?
It ain't no F.
It ain't no F.
Luis, can you come over here and give your score, please?
Okay.
See, he's getting
He's
degrees.
taking care of
Okay,
baby.
well then I'll just ask him from here, Luis. What do you give this movie? He said
rates
7.
it
Okay.
7 out
It's
of
an
10.
average movie. It's an average Disney movie.
It's an average Disney movie.
Yeah.
But we hope you liked.
Thank you, Luis. He said if it wasn't Sherlock, he would give it less. But that's
Right.
kind of what I said originally. I think I would have enjoyed it less.
Yeah, the whole Sherlock motif really puts it over the top for sure. I do like
If there
that
was
a
more
lot.
Toby, I would have liked it more. Toby was the best
Toby
part.
was so
Yeah, Toby was only like one scene.
That
Toby should've
was
came
a
back in the
good
end.
boy. I kept saying that the whole time. Well, Toby's a good boy.
He's so cute.
Well, Toby's a good boy.
I freaking love those kind of dogs.
I like
Yes,
dogs.
that's it for the Great Mouse Detective this week. Thank you guys for watching
You know what
it.
would have been funny?
What?
Is if the Queen Mouse had corgis.
See, then it really would have been Elizabeth.
But like, why do these mice have pets? I don't know.
I don't know, but that would have been freaking hilarious.
Right. If she had a bunch of like regular sized corgis.
Yes.
Wait,
that
she
hung out
did.
with all
Like
the
her
She
guard
did.
dogs.
She
She
did
did?
because when the cat jumped over the fence, it said like the Queen's Guards dogs. But that was the real queen, not the mouse queen.
Oh,
Right.
That's true.
The Mouse Queen didn't interact with those dogs, but
Nah.
maybe she did. You know, who
Maybe.
knows? Mhm.
I guess
Watchful
that is
protectors.
Elizabeth's dog.
Maybe
That's
she
not
had
always
a
like a
miniature
royal dog.
Yeah.
corgi.
Your face, stop. Okay.
Thank you guys for listening this week. Next time. Oh, I keep saying next week. We're bi-weekly. Next bi-week, we are watching the 2003 live-action Disney movie Holes, featuring our favorite even Steven Shia LaBeouf.
He's the only even Steven.
This is Ren.
No,
Ren
his name
on?
is literally named
Even?
Steven. Wait, what's his name?
Their last name is.
The last name is Steven.
What's his name on that show?
I don't remember. Lewis.
Oh, that's right.
Pull that
The
one.
only
Lois.
Steven.
Never
I was
mind.
like, what is her name? Not is she the odd Steven?
Yeah, so we're going to be watching Holes. It's got Shia LaBeouf in it.
Has anyone seen this movie?
Yes.
I've seen
Multiple times.
and I love this movie.
Oh, I was asking like in anyone in this world. So I mean, I guess 2 people.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Are you kidding me? When I was in middle school, the homies be watching this movie.
I think this was a fairly
the
popular,
homies be watching.
fairly
this
popular
movie.
Yeah,
film.
in middle school.
Yeah, I remember a bunch of people watching.
Digging up home,
That's right. I had
digging
that
it.
song.
Digging up
home.
digging up home. 98,
like
98 degrees, right? Who sang
Maybe.
that song?
I feel like I heard that on like the Disney Channel, like little
Probably
videos.
like on the Radio Disney or something.
Yeah,
or
like-
the
you know how they
music
would-
videos
Yes.
on the TV.
It's called "Dig It" by the D-Tent Boys. So
Oh.
D-Tent.
What's
the
that?
D-Tent Boys.
the
Now
heck
I
is
gotta
that?
go down a whole rabbit hole about D-Tent.
What the heck is that?
I don't know,
I
man.
like how I was like, yeah, that's 98 degrees, right?
I'm
No,
pretty
they
sure
be
this is.
singing "True to Your Heart." You
They're
know what I mean?
only
True to
hit.
your heart, you
Yeah,
must be
be
true to your heart.
Oh,
Wow.
Okay, the D-Tent Boys are the cast of the movie Holes, and they're the ones who sing the song.
Oh,
Yeah.
they must be. In
Shia LaBeouf
So it's like
sings
Shia
this?
LaBeouf and what's his dude's name? Cleo Thomas and Zane Holtz and Brendan
Zane
Jefferson.
is the little boy. Well, in the movie, he was the little boy.
yeah.
They must be in D-Tent.
in D-Tent.
In tent D.
The D-Tent Boys.
The
D-
Disney Tent Boys? The
No,
D-
like in their prison
like
block.
detention?
No,
The
like
D-Tent
they're in
Boys.
tent D. Like
yeah.
Tent ABCD?
Oh.
I don't know. I've never seen it. I'm just guessing.
Like detention, but they took off the shin, like detention.
No.
Detention
Detention.
boys.
Detention
Detent
boys.
Detent
These are the
boys.
detention.
You better keep
boys.
digging detention, boys.
Better gun. Okay, anyways.
Oh, this episode has gone off the rails. All right, you guys.
Wait, well, do we have an announcement? No, I guess we don't have it.
No, we don't have an announcement yet.
You were
There-
gonna say what your announcement was.
there,
No.
there will be an announcement soon. Keep your ears peeled. We got stuff to announce.
In maybe like 6 months.
Yeah,
I don't know.
as we
Whoa.
near towards episode 100, keep your ears and your eyes peeled. And if you want to do that, you
And
can
your
head
toes.
on over to our Instagram
toes.
page
Yeah, you keep your toes curled.
at the Walt Vault Pod.
Your
Follow us
talons
there.
Sharp.
Leave a comment. Do all the
You
things.
need to take your wife home.
Dude, she loves talking over me. Shout out to us and Luis. He made the biggest face. Hit us up on social media. We're at the Walt Vault Pod everywhere. Leave a comment what you thought about the movie. What's your rating? If you would like to hang out with the bar lady, and her
No.
garter. Send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. Support us on Patreon. We're patreon.com/thewaltvault. Go there, do all of those things. Subscribe, follow, like, notification bell. You know the stuff to do. And tell your friends, Don't be stingy with this podcast. You're just enjoying it over there by yourself. Why don't you let somebody else know? Tell your mom. Okay?
Rude.
All right, you guys.
Why you laugh
I don't know. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you next time for some holy goodness. The vault is now closed.